There we go. So let's see. Mhm. I'm gonna start with Liz. Liz, what etiquette advice can you think of when you're visiting someone's home?
Don't enter in their house
Hmm.
with the shoes full of mold.
Hmm. Any others?
Uh, don't arrive at lunchtime.
Very good. Yes, very important. Hey, good. Hey, that's good. I think both of them are applicable to our culture. Thank you very much. Let's keep talking about this one. Um, Karen, what about visiting someone's home? What are some of uh the etiquette advice that you can give?
First, be on time.
Mm-hmm.
Bring a small gift like plant or small dessert.
Mm-hmm.
It shows appreciation for the invitation.
Okay, perfect. That sounds great. Great ideas. Thank you very much. Let's see here. Miguel, what about visiting someone's home? Any ideas how to contribute to that? Sorry, Miguel. I hear some background noise, but I don't hear your voice.
Very carry something for the occasion, like
Uh-huh.
food,
Okay, great. Well done.
and send a messenger or birthday or carry a present,
A present, uh-huh.
wearing a formal suit, and
Okay, thank you very much. That's for the interview. Okay, so I see it now. Thank you very much. Good job. So here we have all three ideas. Okay, so the first one is for the house, the second one is for the birthday party, and the third one is for the interview. So I appreciate receiving all. Let's see, Luisa, on visiting someone's home, what are some of the things that you should or shouldn't do?
I think that this isn't an obligation, but probably you could give a little present like a dessert or some fruits.
Okay. Any other ideas on what to do or not to do?
Mm, don't stay a long of time. I think that sometimes is incómodo.
Yeah, so it's uncomfortable. It's
Yes,
awkward.
yes,
Yes, you're
because
right.
if you have some things to do,
Yeah, and
it's a problem.
yeah, that's right. And people don't leave, right? And just
Yes.
you're just waiting for that to happen. Okay, yeah, totally agree. I think that's perfect. Thank you very much. One more, Oscar. Let's talk about the first one, visiting someone's house. What's something that you would recommend?
I didn't write the question, but
Mm-hmm.
I think normally we will need to bring something for people, some
Mm-hmm.
present like it depend the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
I think if it's for a dinner or some or I don't know, breakfast or lunch, I think is something comestible
Mm-hmm.
in or some present for each people, I think.
That sounds perfect. Yes, I think that those all of the ideas that you guys are providing are part of the etiquette. Very good. And if you see these ideas, the ones that we are talking about, they are not written in a book, right? No nos dan un libro como tal, pero simplemente vivir en la sociedad, right? Like when you live in society and when you, of course, see how culture is developed, well, you realize that that there are certain norms, algunas normas, right? There are certain norms, there are certain good behaviors and compared to bad behaviors or bad manners. So we have that. When we talk about birthday parties, I saw that you were also guys talking about things like that. For example, let's see here, or let's continue with you, Oscar. If you arrive to a birthday party, what is something acceptable to do?
Oh, bring some gift. If it's for it's for adult, I
Uh-huh.
think maybe some clothes, maybe a belt, maybe a wallet, maybe
Mm-hmm.
some clothes. And if it's for some child, I think toys. It depend the age.
Sure. Okay, that sounds perfect. Yes, I agree. I agree.
But you know what, teacher?
Mm-hmm.
Let me explain something about the first question.
Sure.
Um, um, I think now we love the tradition uh, of the parents because they they learn us when we visit some people or family, we need to bring some present. But in the and right now they don't make those traditions. I don't know why.
Yeah, the culture changes sometimes, right? So there are
Yeah.
certain things that are very good from the past that we should keep doing. And yeah, probably new generations are also like building their own traditions, and sometimes the tradition is having no traditions, like no presents or
And sometimes when we give you some invitation, people they come in but they don't bring nothing, and uh uh they say what is for eat or for drink, but they don't bring nothing.
yeah. So yeah, some people will consider that maybe bad manners, right? So just coming to eat without bringing anything might
But you
be
know, right here, the people say in Spanish, hey, this party is de traje.
de traje. Hmm.
Yo traje sodas, yo traje esto, yo traje lo otro.
That's right. Yeah, that's very Latin American. Yeah, you're right. Good
Yes.
job. Perfect. So we have that. Thank you, Oscar, for also complimenting your opinion. I'm going back to Liz. Now let's talk about birthdays, Liz. When you go to a birthday party, what are some acceptable or unacceptable things?
Mm, not waiting to be the center of attention.
Hmm.
Um, always bring a gift, a birthday boy or girl, y arrive on time.
Arrive.
Arrive on time at the party.
Yes, yes. That's also good manners. Good job. Thank you very much. Let's go with Karen. What about the birthday party? Karen?
Um, let them know the host know if you attended on time or if you
Mm-hmm.
can get in there.
Yes.
If you're gonna be late, and choose a gift appropriate for the age,
Mm-hmm.
and waiting for all the people uh, for the get the food or serving. all together.
Hmm. Perfect. Okay, yeah, perfectly acceptable. Thank you very much. One more. I'm gonna ask Luisa. Luisa, what's your advice when going to a party, a birthday party?
Eh, For example, if you can go to the birthday party, if it is a close family, friend, or acquaintance, you can give, you can send the how do you say, regalo,
The present?
the present for because like to disculparse
Mm-hmm.
for
Apologize
no,
is the word.
yeah, apologize for not to assist to the birthday party,
Okay,
I think.
that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds acceptable. Thank you very much. Very good, very good. And I was reading some of your ideas, guys, as well regarding the interview. So I think that those are very important. So we're talking about the first one is visiting someone's home. It's very, I don't know, very informal, right? You visit friends' homes, you go to the birthday party of your family members or your friends. But going into an interview, it's a little different. So I appreciate you thinking about that. For example, I have here Liz says when you talk to the interviewer, look at it, look him or look her in the eyes, answer what you're asked. Okay, yes, of course, like provide clear answers, direct answers. Here, be confident, arrive early, right? Of course, this is, I think these are things that are common sense, we can say, right? But for some people, they are not, right? Arriving early is very important. It's something that we would say, yes, it's part of the deal, right? If you have an interview, arrive early, dress appropriately, ask questions, send thanks via email to express your appreciation. Well, that sounds very, very good advice. Some people do it, some other don't do it, but these sound very good. Even for us, whenever we see ourselves in a situation like this, I think this would work. Wearing a formal suit and relax. This is something that Miguel added. Let's see here. This is Luis says, if you don't want to go to the interview, you should call. That's right. Yes, something happens, if you're not able to attend to the interview, if for some reason you have to postpone that or whatever. So I think that it's great if you inform or if you advise in advance. In advance significa con anticipación. So if you notify in advance, that's good. Here we have, yeah, go with acceptable clothes, right? So appropriate, something appropriate, right? Depending on what type of interview it is. There are going to be certain interviews where you might be in a very casual outfit, and that's okay. But there are going to be certain interviews where, I mean, because of the position that you're applying for, or because of the instructions that you're being provided, you are definitely going to have to dress more formal, and that's perfect. So thank you very much. These are great things to think about. Uh, just as I mentioned a moment ago, I mean, these are things that probably are common sense. Like these are things in general that society kind of teaches, but we don't have a book for these kind of things. We don't have a like a written rules on these. So these are some things that, of course, as a society, we adapt and they change from society to society. For example, things that are common here are not common necessarily in other societies. Something uh, as easy as, for example, thank you cards. American culture has a culture of giving thank you cards. Like, I don't know, you help somebody moving their stuff from one apartment to another, and that somebody is going to send you a thank you card because of that favor, right? Or maybe you helped in some event or something, and people are going to send out thank you cards. We don't really do that here in Guatemala. I mean, we do not spend money on thank you cards, right? It's not part of our culture. Maybe you send an email, or maybe you send a text, or maybe you send an audio and you say thanks, or I don't know, you have another way of showing your appreciation. But thank you cards are not something that our culture uh really uses for that. Another thing that I think is very different among cultures, and of course I'm talking about the American culture now because that's the culture that is influences us more, right? In this case, of course, that's a culture that we're learning when we're learning English, American English. So one of the things that I found interesting is the way that the American culture uses flowers. American culture uses flowers almost for everything. You have a new home, well, we'll send you flowers. You just got a baby, we send you flowers. You got surgery, we send you flowers. I don't know, you have a new job, we send you flowers. There's Valentine's Day, we send you flowers. Of course, that sounds more logical, right? For example, if there is a funeral, of course, we send flowers. That's more common occasions, balloons and flowers. That's right. So the culture in Guatemala and in Latin America, I think, it's sends flowers in more specific occasions. Like, for example, I don't know, maybe on a birthday, but more like romantically, and of course in funerals. But we don't do flowers and balloons for everything, right? For example, if you got a new job, well, we might ask you out to have some dinner and maybe drink something or drink some coffee or celebrate, but we celebrate in other ways. I think that is kind of interesting to see how the American culture uses flowers and balloons, as Karen says, to commemorate or celebrate certain occasions that in Latin America we we celebrate differently, right? So just to give you a sense of how cultures, even though we're really close, I mean we're not too far away from the United States, they do it and how that is how that reflects in society and of course how that changes because I mean as we were discussing with Oscar, sometimes the culture is going to change from generation to generation. That is something that is going to happen, and we have to be just aware of that and prepared for that. And cultures can change even with the same language. If you go to El Salvador, the people have a different culture there. I mean, we have a lot of things in common, but there are different ways in which we do things, in which we um, think about certain topics. If you go to Mexico, you're going to find a culture that is similar in some ways, but is still very different. Words that are used in a very different way. And we both speak Spanish, let alone talking about a language that we don't share. Like, for example, the English language and the Spanish language, right? We don't share anything language wise with the American culture. So language is going to be different and the culture is going to be a lot more different. Um, so I have another exercise that I want to do with you. Still in the chatting side. So we're going to talk about the texting etiquette. And then I have a video that I want to show you. That is still about cultures and it's a TED Talk. I'm pretty sure that you have heard about those, but it's a very interesting TED Talk. I'm gonna write it here. Maybe you guys know what a TED Talk is. TED Talk. So it's a TED Talk related to the importance of learning a new culture, how that can affect your brain, and how that is very I will say rich for your personal growth. So we're going to see that video. The TED Talks are normally very short. And these are great videos for you to start practicing your English with more advanced vocabulary, right? So TED Talks are for English speakers. These are not for Spanish speakers. They are for English speakers, so they will have a very natural way of speaking English. This is normal people talking, and they're the videos are normally very short. Sometimes are 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes. So the format of the TED Talks is very particular because they share like very, I will say interesting and important information, but in a very short amount of time. So we're gonna watch a TED Talk today, and maybe have some conversations after that TED Talk. First, we're gonna finish the etiquette kind of topic, and I'm gonna make you think a little bit about the texting etiquette. And when I say texting, I'm talking about maybe sending messages through WhatsApp or through Facebook or through Instagram DMs or through TikTok. I don't know what is the messaging app that you use the most, but I think that this uh, texting etiquette will be useful for everybody. Okay. So these are some statements, and I would like us to maybe have a conversation and discuss to know your opinion about these. Okay, maybe you agree and you say, yes, this is real, this is the correct thing to do. Or maybe you think that this is a little exaggerated and you have a different opinion, which is okay. So let's read the statements so you can have a general idea of what the text is about, and then we can go ahead and have some discussions. Okay, so first we're just going to read. Okay, I'm not going to engage in a discussion. We're just going to read. So everybody's going to read a sentence. We have 8 different sentences, and there's 8 of us. So let's do the first one. I'm going to do the first one, and then you do the rest. So the first one is, texting during class is not acceptable. This is the first statement. We may agree or not agree with it. That's fine. Let's go with Daniel. Daniel, can you do number 2?
I read it right.
Yes, just read it. Yes, just read it.
It's impolite to text friends when you're having dinner with someone.
Perfect. Karen, can you do number 3?
Texting too many times in a day can offend people.
Okay, very good. Liz, can you do number 4?
Not responding to a text message immediately is unacceptable.
Is acceptable. Right? Is acceptable. Is that what you said? So not responding to a text message immediately is
Acceptable.
acceptable, right? Because unacceptable is the opposite, right? Unacceptable, and we have acceptable. That's right. So in this case, it's acceptable. This is what this text says. Okay, let's go with Miguel. Miguel, can you read number 5? Okay, thank you very much. I think we have a little interference over there. Luisa, can you read the same text just for everybody to hear it? Just in case you didn't hear the last time. Ooh, something happened with your microphone. I don't.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's appropriate to read text messages during a business meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go with Oscar. Oscar, can you do number 6?
Letting your text message beep during a meeting is not acceptable.
Okay, very good. Sander, can you read number 7?
It's okay not to spell words out in full in emails.
Okay, thank you very much. And number 8, if we say that, can you read number 8?
Sending a lot of text to someone is bad manners.
Okay, thank you very much. Perfect. So these are some ideas, okay? Again, they might be right or wrong depending on the culture or depending on someone's opinion. So feel free to give me your perspective on each of them, okay? So let's start with number one. So texting during class is not acceptable. So what do you think? Is that true or is that false? Is that kind of acceptable or not? So I would like to hear your opinions. So let me start with Oscar. Oscar, texting during class, what do you think? Is it acceptable or not acceptable?
I think it's unacceptable.
Why? Is there a reason why you think it shouldn't be done?
Because we need to put attention on the teacher
Yeah, in general, yes, right?
in general.
So yeah, because if you're
And
if
it's
you're
not
distracted,
respectful, and it's
it's
not
not
respectful,
respectful.
respectful for the classmate.
That's right. Perfect. I think that's great. Again, somebody may have a different opinion, and that's fine. We're just hearing general opinions right now. So it's impolite to text friends when you're having dinner with someone. Karen, what do you think about this? Do you think it's impolite to text friends when you're having dinner with someone, or is that just normal and fine?
I think it's what's the mean impolite
Impolite, it's the opposite
impolite.
of polite. So polite is educado, es de buena educación. Polite, ¿vale? Impolite is the opposite, es de mala educación. It's impolite to text friends when you're having dinner.
Oh, it's impolite because you're supposed to take a dinner, supposed to talk, no on the phone, no me on
hmm
the phone.
That's right, exactly. So yeah, I think that this is generally acceptable. Good job. Thank you very much. I don't know about different cultures, but I think it's generally acceptable that when, of course, you go out for dinner with someone, is because you want to spend time with that person, right? There is a conversation with that person and stuff like that. So you're not texting other friends while you are on that dinner. It still happens. I think that many people are really attached to their phones and they um, don't really know about manners and they don't care. But but in general, I think that that's true. It's impolite. So let's say number three, texting too many times a day can offend people. Like for example, sending I don't know, 5 messages or 20 messages to client, right, is may offend people. What do you think about this list? Do you think that texting too many times in a day can be offensive?
Mm, I think depends.
hmm
Depends where or who are you. Uh,
Give me an
because
example. Go ahead.
okay, because if is my husband, I think
hmm
don't often.
Yeah, see, it doesn't matter,
But
right?
for example, is eh, alguien no muy conocido.
hmm that's good. This is a word that is
Quantities. Okay, but
acquaintance.
it
Ese
is a
es un conocido.
quantities.
Acquaintance,
A
huh?
quantities, I think this often.
That's right. That's it depends on the relationship, right? That we that we
Yes,
that we do. So,
yes.
good job. This is the word that Liz was looking for, the word acquaintance. Acquaintance, kind of weird, right? And kind of long. But this means someone that is not your friend. Not yet, right? It's just a new person to your circle, or maybe that you know and you have a relationship, but maybe just because of work. So that's an acquaintance, right? For example, your neighbor, right? So your neighbor, well, you see them from time to time, you kind of know who that person is, but it's not your friend, right? So if it's not your friend yet, then it's an acquaintance, and este es como un conocido, right? So we can use that word. So good job. Um, Let's talk about the next one. Not responding to a text message immediately is acceptable. What about this, Luisa? What do you think? Not responding to a text message immediately is acceptable.
I think that is acceptable because probably you can doing something or working in another things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you don't have all the time your phone in your hands or near from you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think we
Yes.
can agree. Yeah, we can agree. Not responding to a text message immediately is acceptable. Good job. Let's go with number 5. It's appropriate to read text messages during a business meeting. Hmm. Let's see here. Daniel, what do you think? It's appropriate to read text messages during a business meeting?
I think it is not acceptable because you're not paying attention to the business meeting.
Yeah, it's the same than texting in class, right? So maybe if you're doing two things, you're going to pay attention to one thing, and the other is going to be just forgotten about. So if you're in a meeting but you're reading text messages, you're paying attention to the text messages, and then you forget about what's happening in the meeting. So good job. Um, letting your text messages beep during a meeting is not acceptable. This is, for example, when you're in a meeting and someone's phone is beeping, right, or ringing, and do we consider that as something acceptable or not acceptable? And I'm gonna ask Sander. Sander, what do you think? Letting your text messages beep during a meeting is not acceptable. Is that true or false?
Um, you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Mm, for me, it's true. It's not acceptable.
Very good. Is there a reason why? Why do you think it's not acceptable
Mm,
to let your phone ring?
yo lo pienso, esperen.
Sure, sure.
Maybe because you need to put to pay attention. You need to pay attention in the meeting
hmm
because for example, if you
That's okay. I mean, I think you're going good. Okay, so you have to pay attention to the meeting, and ringing is maybe interrupting. What else?
um, espérame, vamos a ver. ¿Cómo se decía falta de respeto?
Is disrespectful. Is this?
¿Cómo?
Ahí lo estoy escribiendo en la pantalla.
Buah,
Disrespectful.
disrespectable.
Mm,
Because it is disrespectable. For example, if you talk with a person, um, this person is Espérame, profe, me revolví.
Okay. While you think on that, I'm gonna be sending a link.
Um, eh, maybe I don't know. Maybe because he's, ¿cómo dijo que era?
Disrespectful?
Respectable um, to to have the phone during the meeting
Yes, exactly
because
right.
um, because the phone is a distraction, and for the reason you can you can lose the work or the class. It depends of
That's perfect.
what is the meeting.
That's right. I think that
I,
it's
I think
it's both. Thank you very much. It's both. It's a distraction. Yes, it's a distraction for you. I mean, it is respectful because of course you're in a meeting, right? But at the same time, it could be a distraction not only for you but for others. So in that way, I think that we got to be very careful with that part. So thank you very much, guys. I asked you guys at least a question, and you were able to answer some of it, so I appreciate it. Now, when we're talking about these kind of etiquette topics, I understand that there is a cultural influence, right? So our culture is going to influence our answers in this specific topics. There are certain topics in which we may think, okay, yes, it's not acceptable. Other cultures will find that perfectly acceptable. Like for example, greetings, right? If you enter some place and you greet somebody, that's considered good manners, right? So if you enter a store, for example, and you say, "Hey, good morning," uh, that's perfectly acceptable. But there are other countries in which you don't necessarily do that, and it's not considered bad manners if you don't say hi, because the culture is a little different. So the video that I have for you is a TED Talk, and this TED Talk is combining certain things that I think are very valuable for us today, specifically talking about culture. And since we have been talking about culture during the entire week, I think this is going to be a great way of closing the week's topic. Now, this video is not that long. It's not like a movie, right? It's not 1 hour long, but it is longer than we normally do. Normally we have listenings of, I don't know, 2 minutes top. This one is about 13 minutes, so it's the entire TED Talk. Now, this person speaks different languages, but English is not his native language. So you will hear that he has a little accent because English is not his native language, but he speaks English very well. So that could be useful. Maybe we are able to understand him better because he speaks a little slower than normal. I mean, he speaks fast, but if you compare it to a person that is a native speaker of English, they sometimes, when they get excited, speak very, very fast and it's hard to listen to them. In this case, I think he speaks at a normal speed. So this exercise could be really good for us. Now, there are no subtitles available. The video doesn't have any subtitles, so we're not going to activate the automatic subtitles. Sometimes the automatic subtitles catch right some words and they don't catch right some other words. So for this exercise, we will not have any subtitles, no subtitles at all. Um, So you're going to have to pay attention to what he's saying, see his manners, his movements, his hand movements. And when the video finishes, I will be asking you guys about your opinion on the video, okay? So at least you have to pay attention to have a general idea of what the video is about and maybe a lesson that you can learn from this person's experience, okay? So this person speaks French mostly, and that's why you're going to hear in his accent that there is something different. So I'm going to try to provide the highest quality possible, and I'm going to share the sound. And for let's see, optimize for video sharing. Okay. And for the following minute and for the following 13 minutes, we are just going to see the screen. I sent you the link in the chat. So in our WhatsApp chat, you will find the link to this same video. If you have any problems with Zoom, if you're not able to listen properly, if maybe the audio is cut off or it's interrupted, and you have a better signal in your computer or phone, go ahead and watch the video directly from YouTube. So I gave you the link so you can watch it as well. So nobody is left behind. So if you have connection problems somehow and Zoom is not working for you, you have the option of watching the video directly on your own. So let's get to it then. Okay, let's see here. Let me start playing the recording and we'll see each other after this. Give me a second. There we go. Share sound and share video.
I had the great pleasure to live in Spain for 2 years. In Spain, when you come into a shop, you say, hola. The cashier replies, hola. And then everyone else in the shops replies, hola. It looks a little bit like this, and you feel very much welcome. I was in Spain this summer. I came back to Norway, where I live, and then I got into a grocery store. And then I said, hi, hi. Suddenly people are wondering, why is he saying hi? Because they're expecting me to start a conversation, to ask a questions. Greetings mean something different. They're much more purposeful. They're much more pragmatic. And this is one of the first things you realize when you move to a different culture. Yeah? It's the outer shelf of culture. And it's not just about greetings. It's about how you do it and when you do it. I was born and raised in a French-speaking part of Canada. And like in that part of the world, like in many other places around the world, when you leave an event or you leave a party, you're going to go around and say goodbye to everyone. So you're going to go around and shake hands with every man and kiss every woman. It's expected, it's welcome, it's part of the cultural rituals and norms. Actually, if you don't do this, you will feel a little bit uneducated. If you do this in Scandinavia, you're weird. Huh? Why would you go and disturb someone in the middle of a conversation just to say goodbye when you know you're going to see the person again, yeah? Greetings is the outer shelf of culture, and this is one of the first challenges you will meet changing culture. People like to call me the rocket scientist, which is not entirely true. I studied astrodynamic, which is a subfield of mechanical engineering, studying the rigid body motion of human-made spacecraft outside the Earth's atmosphere. Something quite different than culture and social anthropology. Yet it is through studying rocket science that I've learned about culture. When I was 20 years old, I had never been outside Canada and I could only speak French. 10 years later, I had lived in 5 different countries and learned 4 new languages. And in each of these countries, I've made a conscious effort to observe how people behaved and communicated and adapt my own behaviors and ways to communicate to these people so that they feel comfortable around me. And this is what I'm trying to do today. That's the reason I'm here today and the reason why I wake up every morning. I go around the world helping people to communicate across cultures. I help people to see the behaviors of others not based on what it means in their own culture, but based on what it means in the cultures of others. I was in the very remote region in Sichuan province in China. I was sitting in a bus in the morning, and the bus was starting to drive. It was pretty empty when I sat in, but then suddenly people started to come in, and at one point it was completely full, and a woman that was older than me came into the bus. Since I was born and raised in a Latin culture, my mom has always told me to leave my seat for women. And so I stood up and I indicated she could sit. And then she said no. And since I had been living in certain countries in Europe and learned that when a woman says no like this, you should just sit down in silence and look down and don't say anything, yeah? So I did that, but then something very special happened. She looked at me, she smiled. And then she sat on me. But not only did she sit on me, in that part of China, people don't have hair on their arms. So she was sitting on me, pulling my hair, and laughing about it with everyone else in the bus. Yeah. As you can imagine, this did not feel very comfortable for me, but it seemed to be quite comfortable for her because she sat there for half an hour, yeah? And everyone was laughing, so I thought, okay, Julian, just try to enjoy the moment. And so I started to laugh with them, and you know, it was a long bus drive, and what that meant was that two families felt very comfortable, and they ended up inviting me for dinner that night when we arrived to the village, and I ended up to stay over a couple of nights at one of the family. Because I've managed to put myself in a situation that was uncomfortable for me and become comfortable so the locals felt that they were much closer than me. And this is what we're trying to do when we learn a new culture. This is about learning to be comfortable in what is uncomfortable. How is it possible that it is more comfortable for a Chinese woman to sit on a stranger than it is for us to sit next to someone that we've been commuting with for years but never talked to?
Soy Gaby Moreno, embajadora de UNICEF Guatemala. En Guatemala, 6 de cada 10 niñas.
Personal space is very cultural, no? But what is culture? Culture is our mental programming. This is our mental programming that tells us what is good behaviors or bad behaviors, wanted or unwanted behaviors, what we should do or don't do, what is welcome and not welcome. And now I'm not just talking about national cultures. We also have subculture. It could be an organizational culture, the culture you have within a company or an organization. Or it could be also different culture in different social economic group within the same society. And all of these groups, all of these cultures have rituals and have norms that we need to respect. And if you want to feel part of that group, you need to adapt your own behaviors to that one group. There's the outer shelf of culture, and there's also the inner shelf of culture. The outer shelf is everything we can see, the nonverbal, the verbal. The inner shelf is more the values, the logic of socialization, how we understand in a deeper way the cultures we're interacting with. I was invited to a wedding in Switzerland, and it was a Swiss-German girl that was marrying a Lebanese man. And when I came into the church, the two families were sitting there. On the one side was the Swiss-German family. They were all sitting in silence, looking straight, waiting for the ceremony to start. On the other side was the Lebanese family. Before the ceremony even started, the women were crying. The men were talking loudly. The kids were running around. It looked a little bit like this. If you've been to a multicultural wedding, you may relate quite easily. You could feel the cultural tension, the cultural differences. Actually, in the middle of the ceremony, when the man kneeled down to put the ring in his wife's finger, 3 people from the Lebanese side jumped on stage to take a picture of the man kneeling down, to the great despair of the Swiss-German well-behaved family. But luckily that evening, the Lebanese people had brought musical instruments, and while they started to play, the Swiss Germans started to drink. And within a few hours, the Swiss Germans were dancing on the table on the Lebanese beach. Yeah, and they've been dancing there up until 4 o'clock the next morning, and both families live happily since then. And now this is what we try to do to bridge culture. We try to find these musical instruments that will make people jump on table and dance on table. We need to try to find these tools that make people understand the world and connect despite the cultural differences. And this is a lot about emotion. If you come from a culture where the emotion is very obvious, when you meet someone and you're very happy, you're showing it to the person. You're showing you're very happy, maybe you're going to hug the person, you're showing it very clearly. If you're angry, you're going to do the same. You're going to show that you're angry and the person will see it very clearly. So if you come from a culture like this and you move into a culture where emotions are much more subtle and you try to interpret the behaviors of others, it may look something like this for you. So you see that maybe the person is very happy or very angry. However, based on your own cultural perspective, you won't be able to identify that because happiness and being angry is expressed in such a much more obvious part. So you may end up to completely misinterpret the emotional feedback you get from another person. The key here is to observe and pick up what are the subtle differences, and it's also to see the world not based on what it means in your own culture, but based on what it means in the cultures of others. The lens through which your brain sees the world shapes your reality. If you can change the lens, not only can you change the way you perceive other people's behaviors, but you can allow yourself to see the world in someone else's perspective. And if we manage to do this, we're going to manage to solve some of the biggest problem we're facing in society today, which is to make multicultural organization in society work well. I like to see cultures as extremes, or I like to represent extremes of culture so that people see the differences. And today I'm going to be using fruit to sort of express different type of culture, extremes of culture. The first one is the warm culture, is the culture which is very soft from the outside. You feel very welcome. And I want to use the peach to represent this. Yeah? And we can think here about, for example, an American woman, you don't know her very well, and she wants to show that she's happy to see you, so she will be doing something like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you, and come closer to you, maybe hug you and say, you know that I love you. And you feel it's very soft, and she really wants you to be there. And so that's the soft culture. The other culture I like to represent is the coconut culture.
Hola, me llamo Nico.
In a coconut culture, it's different. It's a bit of the faces we saw just now. It's much more subtle emotions. You have more physical distance. You may not invite people easily to your activity. There's a distance. Actually, these are the cultures that very often we consider as cold culture. But these people are not cold. It's just that it takes more time to build up trust to actually get to know the people. But once you crack the code after a few months or a few years, yeah, you're coming into that coconut, and it's beautiful inside. It's great inside a coconut. It's the same in these cultures. In the peach culture, when you try to get to know the person, very often you're going to hit the stone, and it's actually quite difficult to get to know these people. So it's just an inversion. Being aware of this when you move to a different culture, when you try to learn a different culture, will give you tools not to misinterpret the behaviors of others. Up until now, I've been concentrating on the outer shelf of culture. I want to finish on something which is much deeper into us, our value. And to try to represent this, I will talk about equality. Most of the world believe that we should have a certain level of equality. Actually, most of the world believe that we should have a certain level of equality of opportunities. But what does that mean? The meaning changes a lot depending on which culture you're in. One culture may see equality of opportunity as providing the same resources to everyone, something like this. So whatever your potential, you're going to provide the same resources so that everyone can flourish to their full potential. Other cultures around the world, equality of opportunity doesn't mean this. What it means is that we're going to help those who are struggling, the weaks in society, so that at any time any point in time, they will have the same opportunity to succeed as the one that are the strong. Another representation of equality of opportunity would be maybe where I am more from, where you will put a threshold and you will say, for example, in the education system, you will say if you get straight A's, if you're in the top 5% of the class, you're going to get this amazing scholarship to go to this amazing university. Yeah, you interpret that it's the same opportunity for everyone to get that scholarship. You just need to get good grades, right? But yet only the strongest people would get that, and then they will get all the resources funneled towards these that have managed to get that threshold. Now, when you come from a society like this, where the strongest people are being pushed forward, and you come into a society where we have a tendency to help the weak, you may find a lot of frustration because you're used to working very hard and then getting a reward because you work very hard. But in this culture, if you work very hard, maybe we're going to give the reward to those who are struggling, because this is our understanding of equality. Challenge yourself to see the world in the perspective of others. Challenge yourself to be more aware of your own biases, of your own expectations, and in the way you perceive other people's behaviors. If we all do this, we're going to solve some of the biggest challenges our societies and generations is facing. Thank you.
Guys, the video is over, and we're going to finish the lesson just by hearing some of your opinions. I would love to hear your opinions regarding the video. So, in maybe one sentence or a phrase, I would like to hear what are some of the, or what is the main idea that you take from this video? What is your the message that you take from this video? What did you learn, in other words? Okay, so it doesn't have to be very elaborate. I'm not asking you to talk for 5 minutes about the video. I'm just trying to get one idea that you captured and that you want to just to share. Okay, so I'm gonna start with Oscar, and I'm gonna finish with Friseida. So Oscar, Miguel, Luisa, Liz, Karen, and Friseida. So Oscar, tell me something that you learned from the video and share it with the class.
Well, I learned about different cultures in different countries and cities, and they show you where is respectful or it's fine. It depend the city, but I think we need to care with it's depend the occasion where we going to some activity or something when somebody invited or some activity, a special activity. I think, I don't know.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, we have to be aware, or we have to be sensitive to others' cultures, because I mean that's it's probably going to be very different to ours. So thank you very much. That's one message that we can get from the video. More ideas. I'm sure that you have more ideas from the video. So let's see, Miguel, what's one idea you can mention from the video, if you can? Moving on a little fast, just because I want to finish this with everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna jump to Luisa. Luisa, is there an idea that you would like to share about the video? Something that you learned?
Probably we have to be careful about our actions because we have to some customs that in another country or even here in our country, another regions, it could be in a bad way, I think. And also to learn how to the other people, how do you say that? Se comporta.
How they behave.
Yes, to don't have embarrassing moments, I think.
Yeah, that's actually good. Yes, even if you're traveling or if you're studying in another country, this is important. Like learning about the culture before you go there.
Yes, and always ask before to do something.
True. Very good. That sounds good. Go with Liz. Liz, so one thing that you learned about this video.
Mm, okay. The culture are different. Sometimes what is good in one place is bad in another. The same is happening with wars. I think the Latin culture is more friendly compared with people in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more important thing is to feel comfortable,
Comfortable?
comfortable, adapt to the different cultures.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. That's really important. I appreciate it. And it's cultures are going to be different, and you have to be just sensitive on those changes, and of course, making sure that you're comfortable and those who are around you are comfortable as well. We're going to finish with Karen. Karen, can you in a few sentences let us know what you learned about the video?
Something I like, he said, is we all see the world through culture glasses.
Mm-hmm.
If you, by changing glasses, you can change the way you perceive the behaviors of the others. And we have the opportunity to believe we can change the view if we can see in the equality for everybody, for the cultures.
Yes, there are certain aspects that are s seen in cultures differently. So the way that we see things probably is not the only way, on the only correct way. There are some other cultures that will have a different perspective on that topic, and when you change your glasses to the glasses of that culture, then you are able to understand people better. And of course, I think you are able to help more people because it's kind of you're in their shoes. So very good, very good. Thank you very much, Karen, as well. Okay, so this is how we're gonna finish unit number 3. I appreciate your patience and for being with me this week. Remember, next week is going to be our last week of Upper Intermediate 1. We're going to have some practice and conversation classes. Next week we're just going to practice more of the grammar and the vocabulary that we have just learned. We're not going to try to study and learn more than that. It's just put this into practice. And remember, the next Thursday we have our final test. So try to do not miss any class from next week because that's going to be very important. And it's going to prepare us to be ready for the final. For now, I just let you go. Have some rest. Have a wonderful weekend and we will see each other again on Monday at 7:30. Okay. So I wish you the best. Have a good one.
Thank you,
Thanks, teacher.
teacher.
Bye.
You're very welcome. Bye bye.